Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome to the middle round of the inaugural Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship. We've been to Hockenheim, Donington, Watkins Glen and Interlagos, but tonight we head to California and the Laguna Seca circuit for round 5 of the championship. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick. I have got Sebastian Boscher Williams alongside me tonight. John Robertson is bringing you this broadcast on Apex Racing TV. And Seb, we head to a circuit that the drivers are very familiar with. Anyone who started out sim racing on Gran Turismo would have known this circuit immediately, I'm sure. And on iRacing, it's one of the free circuits as well. So a track which I imagine the drivers will get up to speed with, and a track that should offer some very competitive field tonight.
I certainly agree. Good evening to everybody at home. Yeah, you make a really good point. It is a free track, and everybody that's done Rookie Masters, which you have to do in the iRacing series, you'll end up driving around here. So we'll get the feeling that the drivers have sort of no excuses for making any sort of rookie errors, you know, that could be attributed to not knowing the track. You should have a really good fundamental understanding of what you need to do around here to go quick. Of course, we've got the corkscrew section, one of the most famous pieces of racetrack in America. Such a big dip. It's going to be really, really interesting how the drivers manage that. You know, the rear is going to get really loose on exit. We could see some overtakes maybe heading in to turn 9 or the rainy curve. It's going to be such an interesting race, and as we know, the Formula 4 Championship always delivers. In if there's any track that I expect it to be absolutely crazy, Laguna Seca is certainly at the top of my list.
Definitely, and one of the narratives that we've got this season is Will Redford, who is undefeated so far this season. We have had 4 rounds. Redford has taken part in 8 races. He has won all of them. And I don't recall a time when we've got to round 4 of a championship and the lead driver is 171 points clear of the rest, especially in a mega competitive field. Admittedly, a few of these drivers haven't been able to do all the rounds, but he's just been unbelievable. As Will Redford, very talented driver. Dare I say, he's already got one hand on the trophy, but we will see if he can keep that win rate going, which he is very aware of, and he quite likes it as well. He is very desperate to keep that win rate going to 10 if possible tonight. There he is at the top of the pros. In the Pro-Ams, it's a fair bit more competitive. It has to be, really. I think it's impossible to get much further out than the championship. Tobias Sek at the top, but he was outscored last time out by Daniel Porter, who made his return. I think once the drop scores are included, Porter may well be actually tied on Sek. The drop scores will start counting at the next round once we're over halfway through the season, so don't count him out. Morford Tova, I don't think is taking part tonight, having some connection issues, but well, actually no, she is out on circuit at the moment, so hopefully she'll be able to take part. Nielsen and Bunn rounding out the top 5, and in the AMS, unfortunately we have no Philip Russell tonight, I believe. He's actually with his brother George over in Austria, so he's visiting for that one. Lars Lober is 57 points behind him, so he can make up some points tonight. And Dorian Arroyo, I think, also unfortunately missing tonight, so that is the top 3 in that championship, but still plenty more rounds to go, Seb. Plenty can change.
Plenty can change. Philip Russell, in fact, roped into the Mercedes mechanics at last minute. They needed more hands on deck to fix both of the cars, so had to fly out to Austria to take part, but unfortunately unable to. The 142 car of Redford, what can he do? Currently a 10th down on Leonard Schnabel. Unusual to see Redford in the 2nd place on the grid, but we are in the early moments of qualifying here today. What a track. I absolutely adore Laguna Seca. I actually did a GT3 race only last week around this track in the Lamborghini, and had so much fun. This corner particularly is so difficult. Turn 6, it's blind. You've got a massive bump on the apex that if you hit it, you're almost certainly going to either destroy your suspension, destroy the floor, or end up in the barrier. So there's jeopardy everywhere on the circuit, and this corkscrew, what an amazing sight it is to watch motor cars go through the corkscrew, through the rainy curve. And now we head to turn 10. Such an arrive and drive corner. Just get the car in, get the nose starting to grip up, and hit the throttle almost at 100%. Oh, and there's a little bit of oversteer there through the final corner for Will Redford. He's still got some more time clearly to find in his Formula 4 car, but where does that lap time put him? And I don't think he improved. No, he did. He did a 1:24.427 and goes ahead of Marteau to top of the timing stands, and that is a little bit more like it, Sam.
Yeah, they are teammates, of course, Redford and Marteau. Marteau came very close to beating him last time out. He actually led for parts of the A final. Very slipstream heavy circuit was Interlagos. Will be a bit more down to outright pace tonight as Remstra goes to 4th position, but he's now returned to the pit, so he will not. Well, no, actually, we're quite early in qualifying still. It's still got 5 more minutes, so you will be able to get back out. The drivers have unlimited laps, which they can set. Currently top of the Pro ANS is Daniel Porter. Great to see Michael K back as well, really delivering on the pace that he has shown a few times so far this season. I don't think he had a very good Interlagos fan necessarily, but he's right up there. 7th place overall, well ahead of the rest of the AMS, and of course with Russell not around, opportunity for K-Batch to take out some points. And of course Porter 2nd place in the Pro-Ams, also looking to take out some points. And good to see F3 amateur champion from last season, Ricard Boberg, back. We haven't seen Boberg for a few weeks, so happy to see the Swede back, and he's performing well as well. He's up in the top half of the field at the moment as Marteau improves again to go to the top of the standings.
Having a look at Leonard Schnabel coming through the final 2 corners, and I think he ran a little bit wide on the exit of turn 10. As that time did count though, I was worried that he was going to get an off track, and I think that might become a story of today. Sam, it's so easy to get a 1x around here, especially as we head to this section, turns 3 and 4. You can just run wide onto this sand, and it's very inviting when you look at it. You think it's going to provide more grip than it actually does, and through turn 4 is the same thing. And Schnabel almost running wide, proving my point. Redford's had some form of off. His icon went red for quite a while, so Redford unusually making a mistake on his qualifying lap. About 3.5 minutes to go, so he can go for another one, but it does feel like Redford doesn't, either Marteau has found more pace than Redford, or Redford doesn't enjoy this circuit as much as others, because I don't think I've seen him sort of struggle this much in a qualifying session before.
Yeah, I mean, at Donington he was P2 on the grid, and that's but the others he's been on pole, so he's had 3 consecutive poles, as that was a crash for someone. Oh, Porter. I guess it was Porter. He's showing off track, and he's still not gone back to the pits yet, Porter. Come on, Daniel. You could get back out there.
No,
that was at a late corner.
I think it was Jay Walsh then. I think Jay Walsh was the other one to went, oh, and there's somebody spinning in the background. That placed off the track. And that's the corner I was talking about. Sorry to cut in there. Sam, that was that's turn 6. It's such a difficult corner, and I think we're going to see a lot more incidents as we sort of progress through tonight's races.
Look at Schnabel. He's got 6 1,000ths of Marteau. Great to see Alcantech having a good performance. Schnabel, I think, is 2nd place in the Pro Championship. It's been so up and down, and I think with the job scores it could well shuffle about again. I think Marteau would benefit from the job scores, but Schnabel has been strong this season, rapidly improving driver. He was only like 2k iRacing, I think, about 6 months ago, and he's a long way away from that right now. Lado improves, he moves up to P4, and he's not a million miles away, so it looks like we've got a competitive grid out here tonight as many of the drivers return to the pits. K-Batch has got the AM pole in the bag, and Bradley Chani is crossing the line at the moment, but he's not going to get near K-Batch. He might be able to get ahead of his other rivals. No, it didn't seem like he did anything, but he has still got time for another lap. Lots of drivers just returning to the pits. So what is this? Come on, guys, get out there. You've got unlimited tyres.
Feels like we're getting back to the old sort of, remember the Formula 1 qualifying format from 2016 when they all sort of just ended in the pits, and it feels similar to that. Marteau out, Schnabel out, Redford out though. Top 3 all lapping away. Leonard Schnabel set the fastest sector 4 on that last lap. Goes almost half a tenth quicker through sector 4 alone than Marteau, his teammate. If he can carry that through and improve just a little bit, I mean 6 thousandths of a second, sorry, to Marteau, he could be our pole sitter, but it's so close, and you start to push, you start to overdrive the car. The front, you start to add a little bit more steering lock, hoping that you'll gain a little bit more front end grip, and all that serves to do is just give you more understeer, and you can so easily start overdriving the car. Now, if anybody hasn't driven the Laguna Seca track in iRacing for a while, you might be thinking that Schnabel should have got an off track as he went so wide on the final corner, because that used to be one of the easiest places around here to get an off track, but iRacing have changed that, I think, quite recently, so you can run super wide on the exit, and you'll be seeing most drivers do that, we have a look at Marteau, our quickest driver, and he's running very wide. Not as wide as you can run, but wide enough, I think, that in the previous version of Laguna Seca, it would have ended up with an off-track as he goes even faster, Sam.
Let's see if Redford, though, can deliver. Can he go a little bit faster than his teammate, take his 4th consecutive pole position? He cannot. He's a 10th of a second short. And that will be it for the pole battle. No one else is going to reach the line. Joseph Gibbons will be very close to completing another lap, but he is just short on the line. So Marteau ends the dominance of Will Redford, who has to take part in Heat 2 for the first time in a while. But for the Heat 1, this is the drivers who qualified in odd positions, 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and so on. Marteau is on pole position, ahead of Schnabel, then Zwemster, who could well help out his teammates starting on the 2nd row. Michael Kabach, look at that amateur driver up there in 4th position for an epic job from him. There's Tobias Sek, Hans Morgan Nielsen, Garrett Spence, Rickard Boberg, Andy Lee, Lars Lober, Michael Griffin, Jamie Tooky, Jay Walsh, Karim Zinaun, and Jackie Wong. Wong will be starting from the pit lane, however, albeit that was not a penalty last time out at Interlagos, when I think he started from the pits. He pretty much came out in the middle of the pack.
That's an interesting strategy. I think we're going to see the same today. Of the pit lane is a lot. It's not a conventional pit lane. You sort of enter, you merge on the exit of turn 2, and if anybody's sort of driven this track, you know how easy it is to lock the brakes as you head down towards turn 2, and the pit lane you can sort of run wide and have a fairly sort of pedestrian accident. So hopefully Wong understands and has sort of practiced the pit exit, because it certainly caught myself out a few times before. What can Marteau do? He had the pace in qualifying. What happens now that we've added, you know, the race fuel back into the car? Does he still have that confidence? Or does Schnabel, you know, or another driver, are they a little bit more confident on a high fuel setup? Only time will tell, but this race is set up to be an absolute classic, and what's great is we still have many more to come today. I absolutely adore this format.
I really like this format as well. The Portuguese fans are already in the chat. Welcome, guys. Fortunately, your man is not in this heat, so keep tuned. So we're going to have some good racing. Marteau then, from the pole position, wants to get the pole position for the A final as well. This is where it starts for him. The lights coming on for race 1 here at Laguna Seca. And away we launch. It's a good start for the guys in the top 3. Swimster's going to be very close to his teammate. I wonder if they will agree to just go single file heading into turn 1. They've already got a break on the rest. K-Batch under pressure from Sek straight away. They go too wide heading into turn 1, leaving each other plenty of space. And it is Sek immediately getting past K-Batch. And Swimster was able to get past Schnabel, albeit the position is given back very easily straight after. So it is Schnabel who retakes that 2nd place, albeit a gap has already formed to the race leader. Only a couple of position changes so far, and the drivers giving each other a lot of respect through the first half of this lap as they start going single file into turn 5.
Yeah, really respectful start from all involved, clearly just wanting to get through this heat, qualify, and you can start to think about more ambitious overtaking manoeuvres and you head into the final of the races. Marteau, though, an incredible start from him as we head towards the corkscrew for the first time. Under braking, everybody looking fairly stable. There's a move in the background for Hans Morgan Nielsen, or at least an attempt to make a move, but thought better of it. Behind you, that's Boberg, Rickard Boberg, having a massive snap through turn 9. Manages once again to collect up all of his oversteer, and yeah, manages to be able to collect the slide. So easy to end up into the sand on the exit of turn 9. As Marteau crosses the line to start lap 2. And Schnabel, though, still within that half a second range, so he'll be getting the slipstream salmon. Watch out, and actually Zemstra as well in this battle as well. It's been a good start for Marteau, but he's not out of the woods yet.
No, and I think it was really interesting because I think Zemstra lifted off coming out of the Andretti hairpin on lap 1 to let past Schnabel. I think admitting that, you know, Schnabel had the better qualifying. They'll polite to one another into turn 1 and just work together, and that's the advantage of having teammates. And of course that's the advantage that Delta Sport have had in the A finals recently with Redford and Marteau, but at least for this first heat Architect have got that advantage with Schnabel and Swemstra. These guys sprinting away, 2 seconds clear of Tobias Sek already, who's actually being able to pull away from Michael K-Batch. Then there's a bit more of a queue really. Behind K-Batch, it pretty much goes all the way down to Michael Griffin, down in 11th position overall. And, well, in fact, oh, that's a spin there for Tobias Sek. Crucial mistake for our Pro-Am Championship leader. It is so easy to do, and that is a classic corkscrew mistake.
A classic corkscrew mistake. I really like the sound of that. But of course, you know, because of the elevation change, when you spin sort of in the middle or at the bottom of the corkscrew, you can't see to the top of the corkscrew. So it's really hard to work out if there's a car coming towards you. You can sort of end up having these sort of huge accidents that you didn't really expect to have just by, you know, rejoining as a cone to go flying on the way down to turn 1. Drivers are going to need to be careful of that. These front wings are fairly fragile in these Formula 4 cars. Anything, you know, touching them can break them, and at that point you've really lost a good chunk of your front downforce and front grip. A little bit of battling. Kybok still in the lead of this little gaggle of cars. Kybok, Spence, Nielsen and Boberg. Oh, there's still a nice tight battle. Lobert, the final driver to get through to the A final. That's Spence going round. That's Spence spinning. That's disastrous for Garrett Spence, Big Speed Racing team driver. Gonna have it all to do. Where's he fallen to? 13th place. Walsh gets past him. Sek as well. Oh, in Sek's round, he's made another mistake. That's almost 2 in the space of 1 lap. I said there were going to be drivers going off at turn 6, Sam, but I didn't expect it to be so early on in the day.
Well, this was his initial mistake, and expect others to make this tonight as well. Oh, I thought he lost it a bit later actually, but no, it was actually through the first part of the corner. Unfortunate that he wasn't right on the racing line, and that would have been pretty scary if that was in real life. Swemstra now with the mistake, so bad news for Tech there, and the pro driver drops out of the top 8 positions, which will send these drivers straight through to the A final. Otherwise they'll have to race in the B final, where 4 places are available to go through. Usually very hotly contested, not easy to get through the B final whatsoever. It was the mistake then from Swemstra, running in P3, actually losing tabs with the top 2, so having to push really hard to keep up, and he's turned in. And I mean, I don't think the track temperature's that warm out there. At least the air temperature isn't too bad, but just a lack of rear grip once again.
Track temperature is 46 degrees, Sam, so it's
that's
pretty,
quite warm.
it's quite warm out there, but yeah, he turned in from the curb. I think he was very surprised that ended the way he did. You know, that you could sort of tell by the body language of the car and the fact that he wasn't really like, you know, he wasn't trying to correct the slide before it happened. He just was taken completely by surprise when the rear snapped around. So yeah, very unusual. And now Zemstra's got it all to do. He needs to get past Griffin and Tooky ASAP. Oh, there's contact there, barging Tooky out of the way. Somehow Awful Wheels managed to remain on Zemstra's car. Oh, and actually Tooky takes a little bit of a consolation spin in the background. He's going to lose places in Wong. He started from the pits, now up to 14th place and getting closer and closer to Jamie Tooky. Leonard Schnabel sets the fastest lap, but Zemstra really needs to get past Michael Griffin as quick as possible, Sam, because that's going to allow him to at least try and attempt to get into this top 8 and try and salvage as much as he can from the heat, because it would be disastrous if he has to end up going into the B final.
Yeah, Seka's return to the pits. Austin Knight, I think it was Austin, said that this is the trickiest pit entry and pit exit in the world. Zenown into the wall. He had a mare last time out at Interlagos. I believe he finished P4 at Interlagos, but got a post-race penalty for instance. Here comes Swemstra, and this is for a top 8 position, but he can't make it quite yet. Griffin actually finished 1 place outside the advancing spots last week and ended up not getting through in the B final, so he knows more than anyone else how important it is, that 8th position. And currently he is holding on very impressive, but you can't help but feel like this is just a matter of time. Still 3 minutes to go against one of the fastest drivers, and it seems like Zenown is back to the pit. So Zenown and Sek, 2 of our most competitive Pro-Am drivers in the B final. And Boberg's now made a mistake.
Boberg has made a mistake, and I think it's probably at the same place that Kevin Zwemstra did. Oh yeah, so actually no, a corner before, I do apologise, so that's turn 10. fairly easy arrive and drive corner, but I think the track temp really playing havoc with our drivers at the moment. So Zwemstra is already through to the A final. Griffin as well. Even if Zwemstra gets past him, which is looking like it's going to happen into turn 1, Griffin is also through. Zenown, I think, had no other choice but to go back to the pit. Sam, I think from where I saw him, he had 3 wheels on his wagon, and that car wasn't going anywhere. And I don't really remember seeing a car go off turn 3, and this is what happened to Rickard Boberg. He comes through turn 9, car bottoming out, you can hear how low to the ground these cars are running, turns in, and the ridge just goes early. The pendulum effect, he's lucky in fact to not hit the wall. It's gone fairly far off the track. So yeah, he's lucky that he can at least continue in the race, but a disaster for Rickard Boberg on his return.
That looked like the grippiest gravel I have ever seen in iRacing. Usually you accelerate when you go onto the gravel. We got Lobert off the track, and this will put him down to P8, so because of Boberg's mistake, Lobert is still in the top 8, but what an error-prone race this has been. I thought there'd be very few errors as Zwemstra's now got past Lee just ahead, so Zwemstra up into top 5, which looked unrealistic when he made that mistake earlier on in the event. But yeah, so many mistakes so far from these drivers. Here was from Lobert, so he was under pressure already from, I think that is Andy Lee, just behind Lobert the privateer, and then it was, ooh, and that was a lot of contact. So I guess Lee must have a lot of damage now on his car. That was a big hit.
Very lucky for Lobert to still have all 4 wheels on his car after that. Yeah, major damage, and you can see now Griffin hustling and hustling Lee through turns 3 and 4, heading now into turn 5. Not really an overtaking opportunity. Griffin gets forced out wide. Kaibok now losing a place to Nilsson. Nilsson up into the top 3, but 12 seconds off the back of Leonard Schnabel. Griffin still trying to make his way down the inside, round the outside of turn 6. Lee now forced just to check up a little bit on the apex of turn 6. You cannot, under any circumstances, hit that curb, Sam, otherwise it is game over. And if Andy Lee thinks he has damage now, if he hit that curb, he would have known that he would have had damage.
Yeah, that would have been bad news, as this is for the lead. Marteau versus Schnabel. Good lap there from Schnabel, who's underneath into the Andretti hairpin. Marteau's all over the place, he's sliding. However, he has the inside crucially for turn 2, and he is holding on this final lap of the race. Great cutback though from Schnabel. He has the inside now for turn 4, and he takes the lead for the first time in this race. Can Marteau carry speed on the gravel? He cannot. He has to get out of it, and he loses a crucial few car lengths, and the time is running out for these 2 drivers. Schnabel has waited this entire race to finally pounce on his opponents, and it looks like it's going to be successful, but there's still the corkscrew to come up along with the final corner. That's going to be the 2 main opportunities, as using the Giotto was an excellent exit for Marteau, heading down the Ray House straight. Now he moves alongside. Are they going to leave each other room? They do. Very respectful racing so far, and it is still Schnabel who is looking like he's going to come out on top. 2 corners to go here at Laguna Seca for the pole position in the A final. Schnabel absolutely nails those couple, and he has got a car length advantage heading into the final corner, and he spent the entire race waiting his time. His teammate made a mistake, everyone made a mistake, he did not, and he takes it on the final lap of the race. Leonard Schnabel beats Thiago Marteau to the Heat 1 victory. Nilsson will be in 3rd position, but top of the Pro-Ams, and K-Batch is top of the Ams.
Amazing final lap performance from Leonard Schnabel. Just got the sense that he waited and pounced at the most opportunistic point, and yeah, it certainly worked out for him. Andy Lee's going to come across the line to finish 7th, so even with that damage, he's going to finish in 7th. Boberg in 8th, so Boberg managed to get past Lobert. Lobert must have had more damage from that contact than Andy Lee did. So into the A final, of course, Leonard Schnabel, Thiago Marteau, Hans Morgan Nilsson, Michael Kabosch, Kevin Zwemstra, Michael Griffin, Andy Lee, and Rickard Boberg. Great recovery from some of our drivers, but that was a really incident-prone race, Sam. I think the track temperature really playing havoc with the drivers out there.
Yeah, and I mean, it should be similar to what they have driven in the official series, but I don't know, maybe there's just no way around it. As you say, with the high track temperature, that you're just never going to have any grip, and yeah, tricky for many of the drivers out there. We will very quickly go to Heat 2 in just a moment. A quick shout out actually to one of our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy. They are providing a free subscription to everyone who signs up to this series. It's a great offer. And of course, you can get the setups, the coaching sessions, the track guides, all from Apex Racing Academy. Do check out apexracingac.com for more details. Will Redford, championship leader in this race. He's ahead of Lado. Then it is Yamantis, Suarez in P4. Porter, top of the Pro-Ams, and Givens, top of the Ams. Coenza, Molfatova, Palmley, Charney, White, Arroyo, Polliard, Clist, and Craig Rolich round out this 15-car field.
Good to see Kunwali Charney on the grid. Had some form of disconnect just before the start of race 1. Dorian Arroyo jumping to the pit, so he will not take the start as we get ready to go racing for race number 2.
Redford from the pole position, looking for his 9th consecutive win, and he leads the cars away well. Already in the top 5, pretty much single file, not like race 1 with the 2 wide. Now it starts to branch out a little bit. The Racing Forces drivers almost making contact under braking, but still those top 5 in the same order as they started, albeit Coenza with a strong start getting past Givens and putting pressure on Daniel Porter right now. But Redford already with a 0.6 of a second advantage. Yamantis was not able to get past Lado through the first couple of corners, and the midfield continues to be very close, but you've got to be careful around this part of the track.
Heading into turn 5, single file. Most of the drivers not really overtaking opportunity into turn 6. Is that in the background? That's the 225 car of Matteo Chienza trying and thinking about diving it down the inside, but thankfully thinks better of it. The corkscrew, not again an easy overtaking opportunity. Lockups though on the entrance to the corkscrew. So difficult to get the car slowed down. You have to brake earlier than you think as the track falls away from you so quick. You can end up gaining speed. So oh, that's very wide there for one of the Racing Forces driver, the 188 car of Laredo, and that's put him on the back foot. And Yamantis now trying to get past him. This is his best opportunity to spike is Yamantis. It's the start of the race. Everybody's close, and if he wants to have any hope of catching Will Redford, he needs to do this ASAP, Sam.
Yes, he absolutely does, but he cannot get past quite into the Andretti happen. Yamantis was very competitive last time out. Interlagos looking to repeat that tonight, as that is Coenza having to go defensive against Joseph Givens. So Givens, an AM driver, indicated by the white halo and also the front wing end plates, and also a little bit as well on the rear wing end plates. Well, in fact, Givens now under pressure. He did start actually ahead of Coenza. Coenza got past on the launch, on the race launch, as Lado has made a mistake. There he is on the inside. He's over-rotated. He's avoided the wolf, thankfully, but Lado is just going to have to try to get through into the top 8 to advance into the A final. A big mistake from the Spanish driver from P2.
Another driver going off the track. Feels like a rookie series, but these drivers are far from rookies there. In fact, the exact opposite of rookies. These are some of the fastest drivers on iRacing, which just goes to show how difficult the conditions are out there at the moment here at Laguna Seca. See the car squirreling around through turn 9. Let's ride on board with Laredo and see what exactly is going to happen. We saw him struggling a little bit on lap 1. Comes through turn 5 and simply just going to run wide, touch the sand, and the rear just loses grip and straight to the scene of the accident, or at least straight to the scene of the spin. Manages to keep it out of the wall, as you said, Sam. Lucky for him. Otherwise, if it had hit the wall, it would have been almost certainly at least heat race over, and he would have had to have tried to come back through into the B final if he wanted any hope of seeing out the final race today. Sarah Molotova now up to 7th place after Laredo's mistake. Trying to get past Givens. Molotova has been so quick so far. She was absolutely rapid at Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago. It seems to have somewhat of the same pace. I was going to say it was Palmley, but I think it's just having a little bit of a connection issue. So any Palmley fans out there, do not worry, he is all okay. Still in 8th place and currently advancing to the A final.
yeah, a bit under the radar is Dan Palmley, but master of many a car won trophies, I think, both in the Porsche Cup Championship that we host and the Mazdas. The 225 wide, Cuenza, I think he went across the gravel at the corkscrew, might have a slowdown to serve. And I think he's early on the brake, and that is why that contact has happened. Cuenza trying to serve his slowdown without losing a position, but slowing on the apex, and that was an issue there for Molfatova, as there goes Cuenza again, and he's very close to making contact with Lado. Oh man, well, Cuenza made that original mistake, and I just hope that Molfatova doesn't have any front wing damage from that.
So close to disaster for Marteau. Cuenza, it just has the hallmarks of, you know, you're frustrated at yourself and one mistake just sort of flows into another, that flows into another, and you can go from having a fairly sort of mundane race to being public enemy number one. Oh, that's somebody wide in the background. Who is that? That's Daniel White, and that's going to open himself up to Luedo as we head towards turn 5. Luedo on the outside line. He's got the more conventional racing line, but White's going to send it down the inside, or at least he's going to try, but Luedo just playing old brakes later, and now White's coming under pressure from Marteau. Cuenza. Oh, and there's going to be contact as we head to turn 6. And that's 2 races, unfortunately, ruining Cuenza and White. White manages to spin turn it in the gravel, but what has happened to Marteau? Cuenza, has he managed to avoid it? Or has he managed to avoid the wall? I think he has. And just as I was saying, Sam, you know, when one mistake sort of flows into another, that's his sort of third, you have to say, mistake in less than a lap.
Yeah, and this is just like high-risk stuff when you go around the outside. So I think the contact actually came before the corner even happened. It may have even been netcode to Cuenza with good car control. But yeah, he was, you know, riding high. He was in P6, wasn't he? I think it was Cuenza for most of this race. And well, in fact, he was even ahead of Gibbons, wasn't he? So P5. So, and now a long way off the top 8. He's going to get past Charney though. That was going to be the easiest move for him to make on his mission back up the order, but he's now got 4 minutes and Busy needs a mistake. Dan Palmley up in P7. Great performance from Dan. Really good to see the PPEM driver do so well, as Gibbons has made a mistake. He is off the circuit or having connection issues. I don't see any damage on that car, but we'll see if anything's happened.
Juventus has had either some form of issue or was plain on overtaken by Pedro Suarez. Suarez now up into 2nd place. Juventus down to 3rd as we head on. Look at both of them as we head through the corkscrew section. Let's have a quick replay. So this is what happened to Joseph Gibbons in turn 3, heading into the braking zone of turn 4, or the lift zone of turn 4. Just going to run a little bit wide. Overcorrection on the steering wheel. And that time we are heading straight to the scene of the accident. Joseph Gibbons, you have to say, super unlucky there. Oh, that's Daniel Porter. Porter's round. Palmley up to 6th. Porter down in 9th place. And Charney now up into 8th place. So we could have 2 AM drivers going through to the A final straight off the bat. Suarez and Juventus still battling it out. And this is music to Will Redford's ears as he is just driving away in the distance.
And Charney in the top 8 now. And that's, it was a while off before, but yeah, Juventus, by the way, lost that position. He had a very poor sector 3, and now he's properly off the circuit. Is he dropping back? He is dropping back. You can see the cloud of smoke, and that is Arias Juventus. He can't fall out of the top 8, can he? I think he is. There goes Charney past, and Juventus may not get through. Porter up into the top 8, and he might be into the top 7. Man, this race is absolutely crazy. Palmley up to P5 now, and Lado, despite having a spin, he's up in P4. I don't think I've ever seen so many mistakes in the first couple of heat races in one of these meetings. Here it was for Juventus, so he'd been re-overtaken by Suarez. Suarez originally made a mistake, Juventus got past, and then Suarez was able to get back past and just dipped a wheel on corner entry.
So easily done around here. I think we'd all be lying if we'd said that if anybody who's driven around Laguna Seca that we haven't, you know, had accidents like that about the race that I was doing in the GT3s. We saw many of those, and it was an endurance race where we put, you know, hours of practice into the race. So it's so easily done, and you can't really see where your tyres are from the cockpit. The halo obstructs it, and especially if you're on a single screen, you know, monitor, it's hard to gain, you know, the visibility that you need. So it's easily done. think Arroyo Juventus, he's close to Charlie. The gap is about 0.3 of a second. So Charlie, you know, needs to work on his, or needs to throw out a few defensive moves if he wants to keep. In which case, Charlie's unfortunately gone a little bit wide. So Juventus back up into P8. I feel a little bit bad for Charlie. I think it was a little bit of the curse of the commentator there. So Juventus back up into the top 8. Salvage as much as he can from the race, but his starting position for the A final is going to be disastrous. What's that, 16th place by my very quick mental maths?
Yes. Yeah, you'll be last of the automatic, of the heat runners, won't he? So, well, this one might kick off a bit. Porter versus Cuenza. Both Pro-Am drivers. Here comes Porter on the comeback trail. Is there going to be contact? They come super close, or maybe that camera angle just makes it look like it comes very close. It looks super close as they head along. So once again, they're close again. Cuenza over the curb, fortunate not to lose control of the car over the bumps, and Porter is not able to get past. Cuenza will just cover off the middle of the circuit, one would think, but he hasn't done, and that's left him extremely vulnerable. Porter will take that, and within about 2 corners, we have Juventus well and truly in this battle, and with hopes of a top 6 finish.
White flag flies here for the final lap at the Laguna Seca, heat number 2. Yeah, Juventus playing it really smart, just sort of allowing everybody ahead of him just to battle it out, and he's just going to either wait it out, but honestly, if he can make these 2 places up, he's going to be starting, what's that? That would be, again, quick mental maths, never a good idea. P12 on the grid, so this is 4 positions. If you get past these 2 cars, he gains 4 positions in the final, so it's really important for Juventus's A final race. So if he can do it, it will be really beneficial for him, but I think he just would rather get to the end. Sam in the lead. Redford has not really seen anybody, he's just been driving out there. I thought he had his clutch on through that.
I think he did.
Oh, Suarez is going really quickly. Is he underfueled?
I think he's going to be alright. I think this is just for show for Will Redford. He's accelerating to the line. I mean, that's the confidence a man has got when he's won 9 consecutive races. Will Redford for Delta Sports. Well, let's see if we can ride on board with him, actually. Although, actually, there's a good battle going on. Juventus trying to get past Cuenza. What fights from Cuenza. If he could somehow finish in P7 in this race, the run to the line is not very long. He covers off every which way, and he does finish in P7. Juventus crucially gets through to the A final at least, and Charney will be on the front row of the grid for the B final. But maybe you're right. I thought he was just showboating, but he seemed very slow after the line there, did Redford?
It wouldn't surprise me, you know, Will Redford trying to, you know, get to the, let's have a look and see. Yeah, he was on the clutch. So this is through the second to last corner. So
yeah, I think this was just showboating, but let's see if he can actually accelerate to the line.
No,
he was coughing.
He was coughing, so Will Redford trying to go as low as he can on the fuel level. Of course, you don't want to be carrying around excess fuel in your car, it's just going to slow you down, but cutting it so fine that you ended up almost losing the lead, but somehow just managing just to eke out enough of a gap while he did have enough fuel in his tank to coast to the line. But incredible race. I don't think we've seen such an eventful heats in the ARA Formula 4 Championship so far.
No, I don't think so. And there was Redford. There's the top 8 who all get through. The rest go to this consolation B final race. Top 4 get through to the A final. It's Lobert, Charney, Walsh, and Clay. It's interesting that top 4 are all AM drivers. Then we've got Spence, Dorian, Arroyo, Wong, who will be starting from the pits, Gibbons, Sek, Pollard, Tooky, White, Zenown, and Craig Rolich, albeit I don't think Craig Rolich has taken part tonight, so don't expect him to be up there. We've got about 20 more seconds of gridding to go. And, well, who's your pick for this one? Do you think we're going to see some AMs get through in this race, Seb?
I think we are. I think it's survival of the fittest, as it were. I think it's about keeping it on the track, just being consistent and trying to deal as best as you can with the track temperatures. We've seen that it doesn't really matter if you have the fastest one-lap pace. It's all about keeping it on the black stuff.
Let's see if Lobert can do that. Wong in the pits, Pollard in the pits, so too Craig Rolich. The 5 lights are on, And away we launch. It's a poor start for the pulse hitter, and China's going to have a great opportunity, but it's Walsh with the excellent start. He's trying to go through the middle, had to get out to the throttle. There was nowhere for him to go. Look at Clist on the outside. He could gain big time from this, but he's a bit cautious on the brakes. Sek trying to gain some places by going down the inside. Clist actually dropping 4 places right now. Chinese still trying to get the race lead, and I think he has got the race lead, crucially, from Lars Loper in the first couple of corners. Great start for Sek. He's up 4 places. He just went down the inside of absolutely everyone, as China has to go defensive, and we've got the entire field super close, and that could cause trouble because we've got a car around. It's Jay Walsh really suffering his opportunities there. The top 5 separated by half a second right now. Loper returning the favour. He's back down the inside as they head to turn 6. He will surely have the lead, and China will have to start looking behind him and trying to get that top 4 place.
Barney a little bit overcautious, I think, through turns 3 and 4, but he still survives and decides to live another day. Whether that will come back to haunt him as we head into this 14-minute race, only time will tell. Actually, Charney almost taken out by who was it? It was Tobias Sek as we headed into turn 5, but manages just to survive as one of the drivers very wide on the exit there. Who was that? I think that might have been Daniel White, actually, taking the very adventurous line. Is Pollard and Walsh, I think. More issues out there on track. They're all running super wide on the final corner as we head into lap 2. Tobias Sek trying to get past Charney. Charney not making it too difficult for him. I think we're just going to see Sek down the inside. Fairly standard move around Laguna Seca. 211 car. Super late under brakes. Almost careened into the car up ahead of him. But a fairly decent start from everybody around, and Tobias Sek up 7 places. I think it's not going to be too long until he's leading this race.
Yeah, I'm looking at Zenoun as well, up 7 places. So he was, I mean, one of my picks, honestly, to get through to the B final. It's very easy for me to say that now. Maybe I should have said it before the race. But of course, we know how quick Zenoun is. And well, it's a story for many of these guys that they were in the top 8 in their heats, and then they made a mistake. But Zenoun had a very bad mistake, and that's why he did not get through. And he's now moving past Garrett Spence, who I think also will most likely get through, but Spence actually down 1 place on his start. Oh, big mistake from Zenoun, and he has taken out Joseph Givens there. Givens with absolutely no idea that was going to happen. Zenoun busy with his own battle, but he was locking up the brakes heading into the corkscrew and has taken any opportunity for Joseph Givens to get through to the A final, totally away from the American.
Oh, absolute heartbreak for the 303 car. Zenoun now into the pits, so assume with damage. I agree what Austin said, it is one of the hardest pit lanes in iRacing. It's so awkward, especially if you don't have your wheel set up right. As I of course don't speak from experience, but always check your wheel range. Just if you feel like you can't make that corner, because it might be the issue. It's by a sec though, looming large in Lars Lober's mirrors. Simply has more confidence in the car, turns in from the curb, just gives him that extra rotation from the rear that, you know, Sek is just driving the wheels off the Formula 4 car at the moment through turn 5, can't really make a move into turn 6 unless you're super committed, and there's no reason for Tobias Sek to make a 50-50 move. He needs to play the percentage game here. He just needs to finish this race. If he finishes first, it's an advantage, but it's not the most important thing. Just has to finish in the top 4. But I'll tell you what, Kimwali Charney, after all of that sort of kerfuffle was going on behind him into the corkscrew, he's got a fairly decent chance of making it through into the A final here.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I'd love to see Charney get through to the A final. Usually one of our most enthusiastic drivers in whatever series he takes parts in. Sek was so close there. And you're absolutely right that it doesn't really matter about this position. No points on offer if you advance through. I mean, there's more points for 5th and 13th, but there's no more points for 1st and 2nd because you get through to the A final anyway. As here comes Sek, Lober not fighting this one. He knows that his rival is faster. We've still got 10 minutes to go in this B final. No fight puts up Tobias Sek up into the lead, up 8 places. And that should be 17th on the grid. However, he was looking very comfortable in his heat, and he made a couple of very uncharacteristic mistakes. So we'll see if he can keep that up. Look at Givens, he's just set the fastest lap of anyone, has Givens. He's half a second faster than the race leader. I mean, can he come back, Givens? He's 10 seconds off. Garrett Spencer at the moment and lapping over a second faster. From what we've seen so far, Seb, I would not rule it out, but I think he's going to need a mistake from one of the top 4 drivers.
I think he's going to need quite a few mistakes, but he's certainly got the pace, and we know whether that's comfort for Joseph Givens or if it is an annoyance that, he does have the pace. 22.9, you're very right. Half a second quicker than Tobias Sek out front, and Tobias Sek did have the luxury of a little bit of slipstream off Laszlo Burr as well, so that will be improving his time even more. Yeah, Joseph Givens, he's going to need luck, but luck hasn't been on his side today, so maybe that's all going to switch around. Or there you go, Tobias Sek, a 22.6, so 0.3 quicker than Joseph Givens. What can Joseph do? He's had the fastest Sector 4 out of anybody on this lap. As he crosses the line, his lap time will be, just wait for it to update, another, it's a 23.5, so not as quick as his previous attempt, but Joseph Givens has the pace, and he just needs a little bit of drama up ahead, and we're still not even halfway through this race. It could happen. Dorian Arroyo going off the track, at least momentarily. Could happen. It could happen, and Kamali Chani just needs to finish where he is, and I so want him to get through. He's so lovely. I always enjoy talking to him whenever he comes into the commentary booth for, as he disappears there in a heart skip to beat. He always comes into the commentary booth. He's always so lovely. He's always so enthusiastic, and it's just such a feel-good moment when he gets through to an A final.
Yes, and he was quite pleased actually with his 5th position in the B final last time out. Yeah, I think he missed out by 1 place, maybe it was 2 places. He was quite happy with that one. He'll be delighted with this at the moment. Well, is he losing to... Well, he pulled away from Spencer on that last lap, but I think Spencer got past Tooky on the previous lap, so that's not necessarily too representative. Actually, yeah, on the other laps even, Spencer was slower, and he was slow on that lap as well. So Johnny got this one under control, but he needs to keep it on the track if he is going to be able to get through to the A final, which I think might be his first A final of the season, potentially. Another quick shout out, by the way, to SDK Gaming, the providers of our overlay. You can see the brilliant lap time comparison graphic, one of my favorites, and so many other graphics as well offered by SDK. And you can have a range of overlay types. I mean, earlier on we had an endurance race where we had the ticker along the bottom part of the screen. You can also use the old 3.5 overlay, the NASCAR timing tower overlay, and lots of others. And of course you can pretty much create whatever overlay you want, learn some CSS, and you can make it look however you want. So much customization, and of course you can use it as a heads-up display and as live timing as well. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to get yourself a subscription. As right now the closest battle looks like it's going to be Jamie Tooky versus Dorian Arroyo. Tooky continuing to drop back, and Arroyo's actually got the gap down to under a second.
Arroyo absolutely flying out there. Moment, last lap he was about 0.3 slower, but I think this lap is going to be a lot different in comparison to Jamie Tooky's lap time as they both cross the line. Tooky managed a 24.3, that's his personal best lap, but Arroyo a 23.8, so 0.5 of a second, and that's very wide from Jamie Tooky. Not what he wants to do. You see the fact that the understeer has turned into snap oversteer. It's the worst of both worlds. Again, running wide through turn 3. He's on the grass. He's going to spin. Oh, there's going to be contact. And there is, and round he goes. And absolute heartbreak for Dorian Arroyo. Nothing he could have done, and he sees his rival go past. But tell you what, that's the luck that Givens needed. He's up into 6th place, and he hasn't necessarily got so much of the pace. It's about 8 seconds between him and Spence, but that's 2 of the drivers out of the way that he needs. But you've got to feel for Dorian Arroyo.
Yeah, I mean, he went to the inside. Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. He'll be wishing they just took no notice and took the racing line, but you just don't know how the car ahead is going to react in that scenario. And yeah, he is not going to get through, is he? So Spence in that 4th position still, but yeah, another couple of places cleared for Givens. He's going to catch up to Jackie Wong, who started from the pits, remember, did Wong, so doing really well. just been consistent out there. And Givens did gain on Spence by 1.5 seconds on that last tour of the track. The gap, it's 6.7, isn't it? It needs to be 2 seconds a lap if he's going to catch up. What was it this time? 24.5. 22.5, there you go, that's 2 seconds. So, well, let's see. It might still be on, guys.
Yeah, Givens, fastest lap once again. Wants that crown back from Tobias second. I at least hope that if he doesn't manage to make it into the B final, to the A final, sorry, that at least he could take some comfort that he was, one of the fastest, if not the fastest driver out on track. Got the benefit of the slipstream there. For one of the stragglers, I think that was Jay Walsh. He picked up the nice toe down the back straight from. Through turn 5 he goes, really perfectly on the limit. You see the car just slightly moving. I think the difficulty for Givens is not the fact that he's got the pace, because I think he probably has overspent. It's just the fact that he's got to get past Jackie Wong. If it was just a straight battle between him and Spence, you could sort of gauge it, but you've got this sort of extra time of being able to get past another driver. Actually, Givens a little bit of a mistake there through the second part of the carousel, caught a little bit of gravel which unsettled the car just ever so slightly, but all of these margins really matter. As he heads into the final corner, what can he do? All nice and tidy. It doesn't look particularly fast, but what it does look is consistent and smooth, and that's the way that you do go quicker and you can gain a lot of time. 5 seconds separates them. 2 seconds, 1.8 seconds. The delta between Spence and Givens. But actually, I think we're doing a little bit of a disservice to Jackie Wong, because Wong matched, or almost matched, Joseph Givens on the last lap stand. Wong is gaining on Spence. We could have Jackie Wong into the final, and he started from the pits. That'd be pretty incredible.
Yeah, that'd be mega. Oh, there's a spin in the background, I think. That was Walsh back marker, obviously. So that's the second mistake I think he's made round that corner, T4. Yeah, that'll be disappointing for him. If anyone is watching this broadcast at the moment, by the way, and thinks, I want to be out on circuit, then you can sign up. Go to apexracingleague.com and come join us. And there are several other series that you can join as well. The Apex Racing League GT3 Trophy. We have 50 odd cars turning up for that race each week. The Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship, that only opened like 5 days ago. We've already got over 40 entries. We will probably max out the grid. So if you do want to take part in some Porsche Cup racing, sign up quick. And we've also got the final rounds of the Apex Racing League Prototypes Championship coming up soon as well. As I see the white flag, I thought we might get another lap in, but no, this is going to be it then. And that is good news for Garrett Spence. That's bad news for Givens, because I think he may well have caught these two guys if we had another lap round, but this is going to be it. And I think it's just going to be a straight battle here between Spence and Wong for that final advancing spot. Dipping into the slipstream now is Wong, trying to gain as much as he can. There are opportunities at the end of this lap. He got the final corner is the big one. That's the great opportunity, big braking area. There are other chances as well. Wong not making up too much time, however, Givens still 1.5 seconds behind these drivers, even though he is gaining absolutely rapidly. Really, one more lap and he would have been right there. Mistake for Wong. He's completely lost it. He's going to drop down a place behind Givens, and it looks like Spencer's going to be safe out in 4th position, but out in the lead. Tobias absolutely dominant. 8 seconds clear in the end. He gets through to the A final, and that is important for his championship aspirations. Low burst, solid drive from him. He holds off China, who gets through to the A final for what I believe is the first time this season. Spence will finish in 4th position. Did not necessarily have the 4th fastest car. Heck, I think he was probably 8th or 9th quickest out there, but he didn't make a mistake. Big effort there from the big speed racing driver. And Givens, huge shame, maybe the fastest driver out on track in that race, but only in 5th place. He will not get through to the A final.
Last 4. Yeah, Givens, you got to feel for him. It wasn't his fault. The spin, it was contact. He was unaware of what was going on. No fault on his part, just an innocent bystander. Jackie Wong as well, he gave it his all. He had the pace, but I think he just needed another lap. He was a little bit unlucky with where the white flag flew. Well, Joseph Klee's going to come around in 8th place, not the race that he would have wanted, down 4 positions from where he started. So he started in that illustrious top 4, but couldn't maintain the pace. Dorian Arroyo as well, after making contact with it, I can't quite remember who it was, but Dorian Arroyo making that contact, falling down the order. He's going to finish in 9th. Pollard 10th, and Jay Walsh, after that spin on that one, going to come across the line in 11th. But what an A final we have got in store for you. It's going to be absolutely barnstorming. It's been really difficult for the drivers out there. And we're going to have the most amount of cars that we're going to have on track at once. It's certainly not going to be one to miss.
Absolutely not. And I think we are just going to go to a quick advertisement break, but we'll be back with you for that final race of the evening in just a moment on Apex Racing TV.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back to the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship. We are officially in the second half of the season. This is round 5 out of 9, and we are just got one more race to go of the 4 that we have for this meeting of the championship. Here are the B final results. Sec winning out ahead of Lobert, Charney and Spence. They all get through to the A final. They'll be starting 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th. The drivers who did not make it through: Givens, Wong, Tooky, Clist, Arroyo, Pollard, Walsh, Zinown, White and Crag Vrolich. So that is our B final results, and well, we have already got warm-up completing. So we will very soon go over to our A, as I said, I can't absolutely get mullet at the end, Jetsy Heaven, so I was just gone flat out into the barrier and caught me off guard slightly. But it is Leonard Schnabel, after winning the first heat of the evening. He starts on pole position ahead of Redford and Marteau. Suarez starts a strong 4th position. Top of the pro-ams is Hans Morgan Nilsson. He looks very strong in his heat. Behind him, Lado. Then it's K-Batch who's top of the ams. Hopefully he can put some good points in for what has been a very impressive meeting for the Karachi driver. So Molfatova lines up in 8th. Then Zwemstra, Parmalee, Griffin, Porter, Lee, Kuenza, who's yet to take the grid, Boberg, Yamantis, Sec, Loper, Charney and Spence. Plenty of competitive drivers at the back of this 20-car field. Everyone is on the grid now, and we wait to see if Redford's reign will come to an end here at Laguna Seca. The lights are on, the lights are off, and away we launch at Laguna Seca. Schnabel not with the best start. It was a bad start for Redford. It was a poor start for Thiago Marteau. He's already behind Suarez. However, he might be able to come back under the braking into the Andretti hairpin. Schnabel positioning his car well in these early stages. He leads. Marteau crucially moves up into P3 and keeps tabs with the top two drivers. Great start for Andy Lee. He's up 4 places, albeit alongside Sir Molfatova at the moment. It is chaotic in the midfield. Also, Porter just moving his green car on the inside right there. A little bit of a poor exit for Zwimstra, but he is up 2 places so far and trying to get away. Not a great start for Nielsen, and he's actually lost the Pro-Am lead. Molfatova now up into the Pro-Am lead as Schnabel continues to defend. Coenzo and Porter, though, having an issue in the background.
And Charney as well, our final driver who managed to get through, having issues on the exit of turn 5, and that's Redford looking at Leonard Schnabel. Schnabel not looking as comfortable as he did in race 1. Whether the track temperature has drastically changed, I'm not sure, but Leonard Schnabel, he was so rapid, he managed to overtake our pole sitter Marteau, but he's just unable to break loose Redford. So Redford looking absolutely rapid at the moment, sets up Leonard Schnabel. Schnabel running a little bit deep, but Redford gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the final corner as we head up towards turns 1 and 2 for the first time in the A final. Does Leonard Schnabel feel the need to defend? He certainly does. He's going to place it on the inside. Redford's going to be forced all the way around the outside. Can he get the switch back? Schnabel's wise to that little move, so he just covers off the inside, loiters on the apex for a little bit longer than he might have necessarily have done other points. It's all looking fairly, I mean, apart from that Porter Chienza Spence Charney crash, it was quite clean. But I guess it's saying, like, you know, it's not saying much because there was 4 cars involved in an incident on that one sub.
Yeah, I think Charney may have got away without too much damage. I think he may have just been like the last driver to come across it and just like stopped in order to avoid it. So hopefully he's all right as Redford eats some curb there. The 2 Racing Forces drivers battling for some reason, and they've lost each other a bit of time. These top 3 battling hard. Racing Forces have got a great chance here, keeping up at least with the top 3 drivers, but they were, you know, minding their own, or they were fighting amongst each other heading into Andretti, and that did cost them quite a bit of time. Still, the top 3 super close, albeit you have to question, will Redford go for the race lead early on, or will he just wait later on as Suarez and Lado do start closing in a little bit? Schnabel, as you were saying earlier on, not with the confidence that he had in his heat, and he is struggling for some pace at the moment. Is he going to have to go defensive once again? The Racing Forces drivers again alongside, and I think Suarez feels like he's a little bit faster. Did start behind, apologies, Lado feels like he's faster, started behind Suarez. He has now moved ahead, and we will see if he can pull his teammate along up to the top 3, along with Kevin Swimster still keeping tabs with those drivers behind, and Michael Kabach still leader of the AM drivers in P7.
Abel actually setting the fastest lap last time by even after defending from Redford through turn 1. You mentioned that Redford sort of took a lot of curve through turn 6 on the last lap, and that's really allowed Marteau to gain back up to this fight. It's definitely a 3-way battle for the lead, and you know, you also pointed out, Sam, you know, Luedo and Suarez still battling it out, and they're just losing time for this top 3, and it's given them a nice buffer to be able to sort of indulge in their racing instincts for a few laps before they start having to work together as a pack to sort of bring themselves away from, you know, the next pack of cars to, you know, to sort of secure their top 3. I think Marteau is going to want to try and get past Redford ASAP. You know, Redford has proven himself to be so good when he gets into the lead of the race. He knows how to control a race. He knows how to lead and win races. Marteau needs to be able to break that cycle as quick as possible. Marteau, in fact, setting the fastest lap of the race last time by 1/10 quicker than Leonard Schnabel, 2/10 quicker than Will Redford. Marteau is looking like he has the advantage in our top 3. Luedo not able to have the pace of any of the top 3, even after Luedo and Suarez stopped battling it as hard as they were earlier on. Redford, though, a little bit more confident through turn 2, but Leonard Schnabel, I mean, he's not got the luxury of a big gap, but he's certainly got the pace out front.
Yeah, I think he's you know, got everything up to temperature now, and he looks like he's really got some good pace, some good grip underneath him. Marteau's sort of struggling to keep tabs at the moment. He's now up to 6 tenths of a second behind Tooky. Did just at the fast start of the race, didn't Marteau? But I know he's fallen a few car lengths back on this lap at least. Redford, I think, is still the fastest driver. But going for 10 out of 10, remember, guys, he's won 9 races in a row, has Will Redford. This would be 10 in a row. Fairly confident it's already an Apex Racing League record, but he wants to put it out of reach for anyone to beat in the near future, or the far future, frankly, from how he's been going so far this season. Here comes Redford again in the toe. It's easy for Schnabel to cover off the inside because of this left-hander to start the lap. So he just hugs the inside, takes the normal racing line, but then just doesn't stretch out. And Redford maybe just testing the waters there. It's going to be tricky to go around the outside at the end. Jetty hairpin, and look at the slide there from Schnabel. Under power, trying to get away. By the way, there's a really good battle between Marteau, Lee and Yamantis at the moment. I think the 3 of them are separated by about half a second for P9. And in fact, Yamantis just getting ahead and into the top 10 for the first time in this race. Ooh, the top 2 vehicles.
Marteau losing the Pro-Am lead to Nilsson. Nilsson retaking that lead. Marteau down to 9th overall and 2nd in class. You're very right, Sam. The top 2 oh so close to contact through turn 5. We separate out a little bit before turn 6 and we head to the corkscrew again. Oh, there's a car in the wall. That's Rickard Boberg, I think, towing back to the pits. It was indeed. So Rickard Boberg has made a mistake on his return to the ARA Formula 4 series, not having the A final he would have wanted. He made it to the A final but couldn't convert that. Oh, Schnabel's wide. I thought he was going to end up in the wall, and I think he might even be able to survive that error in judgment there. Leonard Schnabel ran wide through turn 9, put him offline for turn 10, but well, Redford doesn't have an answer. And in fact, I was going to say Leonard Schnabel almost set the fastest lap, but that was the last time by. But both the drivers actually lapping within about 1/10 of a second of each other, and Laredo now starting to sort of get closer to the pace of the top 3. Laredo is a sort of a dark horse, I think, in this race, Sam. Watch out for him. If anything happens to the top 3, he is right there to capitalise on it.
Yeah, he's been quick as Laredo. I think he has had more pace than Suarez, so in the end was good that he managed to get past his Portuguese teammate. But Zwemstra, who had problems earlier on, of course, was very competitive earlier on, was Zwemstra, wasn't he? But he made a mistake crucially, I think, in Heat 1, and that's why he's a bit further down. Marteau on the outside, he's trying to get the cut back. Can he do it? No, he's going to be forced on the outside once again. However, Marteau and Schnabel were able to go alongside through the corkscrew earlier on, and they are going to do the same thing right here. And this is almost a carbon copy, with Schnabel once again coming out on top. They head through Rainy Curve for the 6th time in this race, and this is where it seems like the fighting has properly started. If Redford was waiting behind before, it doesn't look like he is anymore.
No, certainly all knives out, wanting to get past, but couldn't do it through the corkscrew. He's going to have to find, a sort of an unusual spot to get past. This is Zemstra, I think, Yamantis, I do apologise, on the inside of Marteau. Marteau now actually coming under pressure from Lee. They're side by side. Yamantis and Marteau lead, looking to get involved in the action as well. Marteau on the outside though, Yamantis on the inside. It's going to be hard to go all the way around the outside of turns 1 and 2, and Yamantis just slots in. He takes 9th place, Marteau 10th, Lee 11th, Leonard Schnabel briefly went off the track. I think Redford needs to be very adventurous. He needs to overtake in a place that you don't tend to see a car overtake, and I'm sort of talking about maybe into turn 5 or even in sort of the turns 3 and 4 section. But it's certainly fair to say that Will Redford's family absolutely enjoying watching this battle at the moment.
Yes. I imagine his blood pressure isn't enjoying it, however, because this is very stressful stuff, and we're only halfway through the race, so plenty more of this action to come up over the next few laps. But, still Redford just still in that 2nd position. Later now 2.4 seconds off the race lead, gained by half a second on that last tour of the circuit. Redford a bit further behind this time, and this is a good demonstration riding on board of what the slipstream effect is like. He doesn't really gain that much and of course it's one of the shortest, sort of longest straights that we have all season long. Pretty much every other circuit we visit will have at least one straight longer than the curved straight that we have here at Laguna Seca. So one of the trickiest tracks to overtake that we visit across the 9-week championship, as Marteau and Lee I think have had a collision and they are dropping down. It was Marteau ahead of Lee for a long time, and that is significant for Marteau's championship aspirations.
Yeah, she had such a good race at Watkins Glen a few races ago and just not able to convert it as we continue our American leg of the ARA Formula 4 series. And now Redford coming under pressure from Marteau. He's going to have to start looking in his mirrors more than, you know, look. Oh, Schnabel's round! And Redford's tagged him. So I think Redford's got damage. Marteau could be in for the win here. What drama, Leonard Schnabel making a mistake, and let's have a look at the car. Oh, it might be Marteau actually that came off worse. Marteau, the gap is 1.1 seconds. And how the times can change. You've got to feel for Leonard Schnabel though. He was in control of that race and just came undone for him.
It was definitely Redford who made the contact, and well, we've seen a few times tonight already drivers make contact. I think it was Marteau earlier on, wasn't it? He just like pile drives into another car, and the front wing had barely any damage, but certainly I think the wheel damage too much there for Schnabel, our former race leader. There it was under power, and yeah, there is some damage to that front wing, but it seems to be fine. His pace is good. He's 1 second clear, and the 10 race La Decima, if you want to call it, is still on for Will Redford. He is still out in the lead right now. I'm keeping an eye on his sector times. And yeah, he does seem to still be good. Here was the mistake from Lee and Marteau. Marteau losing it by herself and Lee having absolutely nowhere to go. There really was no chance. And fortunately for the driver behind, who I think was Tobias Sek, the path cleared up for him very quickly.
Yeah, you sort of tend to want your drivers to when they spin hold the brakes, but sort of worked against Marteau there. Could just put her in the line of fire, but you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. And Morgan Nielsen though on the back of Kaibox as we head side by side into the final corner, going to go all the way around the outside, but I think we're going to compromise the entrance to the final corner to get the better run out on the straight, and that's exactly what Nielsen has done, side by side with Kaibox. But actually what this is meant is that Nielsen's going to have it all to do. He's got to go around all the way, you know, around the outside of the corner. He's not been able to place his car on the inside where it's theoretically easier to overtake. So even after Nielsen's better run out, hasn't really come to anything, and once again he's on the outside, this time for turn 3. Going to be brave to go all the way around the outside, but you know what? He's absolutely gone and done it. Hans Morgan Nielsen with an epic move around the outside of turn 3, and I think that would have surprised even Kaibox from within the cockpit.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, it was Nielsen who overtook Kaibox at the end of Heat 1 as well, so that's the second move that he's pulled on the German driver so far tonight. And look at Aricia Mantis, who has not had a good time of it tonight, in 16th position for the race. So only just got through the second heat after a mistake, and that little bit of batting has really helped him along. I think he was going to catch them anyway, but it's given him some more laps to be able to make a move on these two drivers. On that last lap, he was about a second faster than the two ahead of him. Redford just set the fastest second sector of anyone, by the way. He is pretty much matching Thiago Marteau now. On that last lap, Marteau actually 2/10 faster, but they crossed the line this time, as actually we see Yemantis get past Kaibox. Not much fight put up by the German right there. On this lap, Marteau 1/100th of a second faster. They were very quick on that last lap, close to their personal best laps of the race. So they are really sprinting are the top two drivers. As Kaibox a little bit more fight this time. He seemed to give it up fairly easy in the final corner into the Andretti hairpin. He pulled alongside, but it's Yemantis who is now up 9 places from his race start.
Just thinking about the lead. If Marteau is able to catch up to Redford, you know, Marteau's going to have such an advantage over Redford, because Redford is no longer going to have the slipstream that he enjoyed the luxury of when he was behind Leonard Schnabel. Talking to Leonard Schnabel, he's trying to get past Sarah Muller-Tova, Marteau runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 4. That's going to allow Leonard Schnabel to go around the outside of turn 5, but it's not really the outside, it's sort of the racing line. Hangs it round, just keeps the wheel in it, and now he's got the better run out of the corner. Marteau is going to have to just concede the place, so Schnabel up to 11th place. It'll be some consolation for him, but he could have also easily won the race if things had just gone ever so slightly different in the corkscrew a few laps to go. And you got to feel for him. You know, Schnabel has been so quick, he just doesn't necessarily have the consistency and the luck as Redford sets the new fastest lap of the race. So I think that confirms that he does not have any damage whatsoever. And actually Zwemstra setting some pretty quick laps, almost as quick, in fact, is Redford and Marteau out front. Zwemstra could be looking here at a third place finish, but have to see what happens as we head into the final 2.5 minutes of our final race of tonight.
If we want anyone to blame for Schnabel's mistake, I think we can put it on Tobias Olsen, who seemingly, I think, came into the chat and said, "Is that an Alcantech car in the lead? Damn." And I think about a minute later he made his mistake to Schnabel. So I think if Tobias, if you're still listening along, one, well done on losing that race win for your team, and two, come rejoin the championship. We're missing you. He is of course, won the Formula 3 championship last season. Two-time Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 champion is Olsen. It would be great to see him back out on track later on in the season. He did take part in the first couple of rounds with his Delta Sport. Apologies, not Delta Sport. I don't think it's Delta Sport. I get very confused. Anyway, Zwemstra is on the tail of Lado. This is the battle for the final podium slots. Lado has held on to this position for most of the race, at least ahead of Zwemstra after getting past his teammate Suarez earlier on. But Zwemstra is looking very quick right now. You question where he could have been. He started down in 9th place, did Zwemstra, and he's only 4.7 seconds off the lead. Alcantech definitely had the pace tonight, but yeah, just haven't quite been able to put it on paper.
Yeah, it just goes to show how crucial it is to be consistent with this format. You've got to deliver it in each and every one of the races that you participate in, and if you have a poor showing in your heat races, it really affects, you know, the A final, the real points-paying race. So that's why it's such a good format, because it doesn't just test drivers, you know, their speed in qualifying or their speed over, you know, a certain lap distance. It really tests their consistency and their racing brain almost to sort of work out, actually, I shouldn't be pushing like at 100% in this race. Let's just survive and we'll work it out from there. But Redford just steering well so far, just managing that gap. Very sort of Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen-esque at the moment. You know, he's got that domination, he's got that streak, he knows how to lead races, and he knows that he doesn't have to push at 100% every lap. All he has to do is just match what the driver behind is doing. And that's all you need to do to take the race win. Zwemstra, though, trying to get past Luedo. He's going to have to be forced all the way around the outside. Zwemstra's not in the optimal position to get past. He's going to have to go deep on the brakes, get the cutback. Luedo, though, is going to stick it right to the apex to not allow Zwemstra to get through. But Zwemstra somehow managed to find his way down the inside of turn 3, but gets all sorts of oversteer on entry, so has to back out of that move. And I think Luedo has just done enough to finish third in this race.
Yeah, that was great car positioning there from Lado. It looks all good for Racing Forces to get one of their drivers on the rostrum tonight. Yamantis under pressure from Nielsen still, but I think that's going to be the same. So not too many bells going on. Tobias Seca actually has just made a mistake. He is dropping down the order, and that is our Pro-Am Championship leader, losing crucial points right there. Fortunately for him, Porto is out of the race, but Sec will not be pleased with that one, and it will harm his championship gap heading into the second half of the season. But out in the lead, it's close between Redford and Marteau. It's down to 0.3 of a second. Are we going to see a last corner lunge? These guys are usually very respectful. It's going to be another 1-2 for Delta Sports either way. And it is going to be 10 in a row for Mr. Will Redford. He does it again, the double at Laguna Seca, and he does his customary crash as well at the checkered flag. Lado finishes in third place and absolutely obliterates one of the Delta Sport cars. Suarez in 5th position. Nielsen will be top of the Pro-As, and K-Batch completes a really good meeting, which will give him a lot of points and finishes in P8. Griffin and Schnabel rounding out the top 10. Good result for Schnabel considering he took part in the B final. Boberg trying to come back right now against... apologies, he's a lap down. He is a lap down. It's Rekha Boberg. He finishes in that position. Close behind, that was Molfatova and Sek. Molfatova beating Sek by 4/100ths of a second after that mistake from the privateer on the last lap.
Oh, an absolutely amazing A final that was. It wasn't as incident prone as some of the heat, so I think the drivers did sort of worked out what they had to do with the higher temperatures, as we see what happened to Sarah Molfatova. Not had the race that she would have wanted, and we're going to have a little bit of an overtake at the final corner of the final lap. Molfatova gone defensive, and yeah, the 206 car just got such a better run. This is Tobias Sek. Oh, so this must have been the lap previous then?
Yeah, that was on the run to the line.
But
Molfatova hung on.
Oh, thank you. I was getting very confused there. So yeah, Molfatova, even after having a fairly poor exit from the final corner, just had better straight line speed. Tobias Sek will be ruining that mistake he made. What was it, like turn 3 it looked like? As here we have our final race results coming on the screen. Redford takes the win, and I'll let you, Sam, take the rest of the results.
Yes, Redford winning out ahead of his teammate Marteau. It was Lado, Zwemstra, Suarez, Yamantis. Nilsson was top of the Pro-Ams, K-Batch top of the AMs. Then it was Griffin, under the radar, but good performance tonight from Michael. Then it was Schnabel, Parmalee, great result from Parmalee. P2 out of the AMs, great effort from the American. Molfatova, Sek, Lober, Charney, with a decent result actually for Charney. I think that must be his best result of the season. Lee, Boberg, Spence, Porter, and Kuenza rounding out the top 20. A few drivers just asking on the YouTube chat. Philip Russell seems to have got a bit confused, saying that he's in Barcelona. I don't know why he said that. He is in Austria, over with his brother George. I did state earlier on, Philip, that was where he was. So I don't know why he's confused about that one, Philip. Maybe getting on to that Austrian wine a little bit too early in the evening. We are going to have some interviews with some of the drivers. Also, just a quick shout out to Virtual Racing School, actually, another one of our sponsors here at Apex Racing TV. Virtual Racing School offering 50 data packs both for road and oval racing, and those including track guides, setups, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. Their telemetry software in particular is really useful for identifying exact corners where you are losing time for each week of an official series. So do check out Virtual Racing School and get yourself a subscription to get faster on iRacing. Who are we going to have a chat with first? We will first have a chat with Mr. Will Redford, who was our double race winner tonight. And I've stolen the 2017 Rafa Nadal phrase of La Decima for what Will has achieved. That is now 10 race wins in a row. Will, congratulations.
Thanks, Sam. I don't really know what that means, but thank you anyway. It was a tricky one tonight. The track was incredibly hot, which made it very slippy on the rear of the car. Me and Marteau were struggling with our setup that we were using, so that's what I was struggling with in qualifying. I managed to overheat my rear tyres and then didn't have time to cool them down again for the last lap, so it was sort of quite a tricky qualifying. Race 1 for me was pretty quiet because I was up ahead, but then I managed to underfuel the car, which is weird because I put in the same amount of fuel that Marteau used, but I still managed to run out. So I don't know what's going on there. And then race 2, it was more of a matter of waiting for Leonard to make a mistake. I didn't want to send the stupid move and take us both out, and I knew that if I just kept him under pressure, I could see him slip in the rear quite a lot. So I was waiting for him to overheat his rear tyres and loop it, which is exactly what he did. And then we both got by and came away with a 1-2. So it's a good race.
In that heat race, when did you realise that you were under fuel?
As I was coming across the line, just before that. So coming out the corkscrew towards the pit lane, and my crew chief told me to pit this lap for fuel, and I was like, oh. So I looked at my fuel calculator and had like 0.8 of a lap to do one lap. So it wasn't much of a save, but it was enough that it's cost me a couple seconds.
Yeah, I thought you were just like showboating or something, just like bringing the gap down. But I mean, to be fair, Seb was straight away on it. saying that you were low on fuel, and yeah, we did see you sputtering to the line. It was very close in the end. So were you confident then that Schnabel was going to make a mistake? I mean, you were saying how you were just waiting behind, you didn't want to go for the dumb move. I mean, was just the way that he was driving, did you think that a mistake was inevitable in that 18-minute race, just, with him sliding the car, or were you prepared to, go for a move in the last lap?
I was prepared to wait, but I could see from the start that he was pushing quite hard. I could see him running out wide on corner exit and just slipping the rear of the car when he was on the power. And I knew that if you do that throughout the entire race, it's going to make the rear tyres very hot, and it gets worse and worse and worse, especially in these track temps. So I was waiting to see what would happen, and then I started pressuring him more just to see if I could push him into making a mistake, and that's what he ended up doing out the corkscrew. But I wasn't expecting him to loop it on his own. I thought I'd have to fight for it, but he might have made a mistake and run wide on the gravel like I did on the last lap at turn 6, I think it is.
We have a few more interviews to get through, Will. So I will ask you if you have any shout outs that you'd like to give to anyone.
Yeah, just the usual. Shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast. Shout out to my dad, and a big shout out to Marteau for bringing it home in 1-2 for that sport.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and joining us, and try to make it 12 next week.
Yeah, that's the idea. Thank you.
Will Redford's 10 race wins in a row now. Seb, who are you going to have a chat with?
A little bit of a chat to Leonard Schnabel, of course. He ended up, he was our pole sitter, but couldn't convert it into the race win. Welcome to the commentary box, Leonard Schnabel. It was a little bit of a disastrous race for you in the end. You had the pace and it looked like you had it, but that small mistake meant that you ended up not finishing. You just managed to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, it sums up our season till that point quite well. Always have a good pace, a decent pace. Decent results, but always that tiny bit of unluckiness or some mistakes. It's just it's a bit frustrating, but the win helps a lot today. I think I can go for the win in Road Atlanta as well. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating today.
I can imagine you certainly had the pace in Heat 1, and it looked like you had just enough of a pace delta to keep Will Redford behind you. It was just that mistake at the corkscrew. Do you know what happened? Did you sort of apply the throttle too early, or was it a surprise to you when the car snapped?
Well, I tried not to push too hard, but with those two guys in my rear mirrors, it wasn't that easy. To be honest, I have no idea how I spun there. I didn't hit the curb. I didn't hit the gravel. The car just went. We just need to analyze it and learn from it. I have no idea what happened now.
They're sort of the worst accidents when you don't sort of immediately know what's going on. I hope you can sort of learn from it to make sure it doesn't happen again, because you certainly did have the pace. And as you said, you took that win in Heat 1. How does that boost your confidence sort of going into the next half of the season?
Well, for my confidence, it's quite good. Just to know how far we are off pace, which isn't the case, obviously, after the first result. But we have to move on and just forget those kind of weekends as quick as possible. Learn from it, but yeah, just go on.
It certainly sounds like a good plan. Well, congratulations on your race win, and commiserations for the unlucky way that your A final went. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all on the broadcast?
Shout out to my team, especially to Jesper. He helped me a lot with the car this week. He gave me some advice to understand the car properly, and to my parents and to you guys. Awesome stream, and thank you for the viewers as well.
That's a lovely sentiment. Well, we hope to see you in 1 week's time. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us in the commentary box.
Thank you.
Sam, I think we have enough time for one quick interview. Who do you think we're going to have a quick chat to?
I think we can only have a chat with our third place finisher tonight, Alex Lado, who joins us in the commentary box now. Alex, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. Well, a really good result tonight for yourself. It seemed like you had a lot of pace in that A final, and yeah, there was a good battle with Kevin at the end.
Yeah, actually, after my mistake in hit one, or sorry, hit two, I didn't expect to get a podium finish in the A finals. But yeah, actually, I had a very good start at the beginning of the race, and then I lost a little bit of time with my teammate. We were not in voice chat, so yeah, we didn't understand each other very well there. We lost a bit the top 3 group. But then I could stay within their pace. They were also like in a train, so I guess it was easier, even though they had the slipstream. But yeah, I was pretty much matching their pace, so I was confident that if they started fighting or they made a mistake, I would catch up with them. And it actually happened, but then the track got so warm that yeah, I hadn't practiced with such a warm track, so I just lost full confidence and pace. And yeah, Kevin caught up with me. I was making many mistakes, and we had a hell of a fight there. I apologize to him for squishing a little bit into the wall, but it was a very nice fight actually.
Yeah, it seemed respectful, at least from where we were sitting. So, yeah, was a very well earned P3. Next up, we head to Road Atlanta. That's a proper driver's circuit. How do you think the Formula 4 will deal with that track?
Actually, I think we might see lots of battles in that track, because with this car especially, and it's kind of it's not the widest of tracks, but it's wide, so I think we're gonna see quite a lot more overtakes than we've seen. Well, I actually don't know how it was on the back, but I don't think there's been many overtakes in Laguna Seca. But probably we'll be seeing a lot of overtakes in that track. So yeah, I hope I have the pace for it. So we'll see.
Definitely. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that one. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Hide Race, main sponsor for Racing Forces. Also, Pedro, he's doing quite well now. He started the season a bit on the back foot, but he's catching up a lot, and he's showing quite some improvement. And it's always very nice to see. He's achieved some podiums himself. And yeah, yeah, you guys for the season, for the broadcast. It's always fun to watch.
Thank you very much, Alejandro, and we'll see you back next week.
Okay, thank you.
Alex Lado there, your P3 finisher tonight for Racing Forces. That pretty much rounds us out, Seb. But next up, Road Atlanta. I think that's a good shout. I think there's going to be a lot of racing at Road Atlanta. You got that long kind of middle straight, and pretty much from the starts of that long back straight to turn 1, there's one braking zone. Especially in these cars, I mean, the final 2 corners will be easy flat, so we could have a lot of slipstream. It's going to be tricky to break the draft there.
Oh, it is. It's going to be like sort of a Monza light, I think is the best way to describe it. We're going to have lots of slipstreaming, lots of late braking maneuvers, and it'll be really interesting. You know, can Will Redford, you know, make it 12 from 12, or will somebody be able to sort of deplace him from the top of the stands and we'll have a new race winner? I mean, it's certainly one to tune into and watch. And I mean, Road Atlanta is one of my, if not my favourite race track in all of iRacing. It provides such great racing all the time, and I cannot wait. I kind of wish it was tomorrow rather than having to wait a whole week.
Yeah, it should be really good one, and I think if Redford's reign is going to come to an end, I think that one will be a risk for him because of the raceability of that track, and because of the fact that everyone knows it so well. So we will see if he does end that reign, but it's been a very impressive so far for him. Of course, big thanks to our sponsors for this series, Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming and Apex Racing Academy, for supporting us on Apex Racing TV. Do check out their websites. There are links to them in the below. Also check out Apex Racing League and join our Discord. There's also a link to that in the description below. Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, do leave a like on it and also subscribe to the channel. Check out our social medias as well on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And of course, there's plenty more action coming up on Apex Racing TV over the coming days. We've got 3.5 just a little bit later. We've got Spec Racer 4 tomorrow, IGP Fun tomorrow. We've got iRacing Israel League on Monday, Rick Made Tech on Monday as well, AFL GT3 Trophy on Tuesday, Ray Esports on Wednesday, and the final round of the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship on Friday. And of course, the next round, round 6 of the ARA Formula 4 Championship next Saturday, same time as this one at Road Atlanta. But yeah, that does round us off here on Apex Racing TV tonight. So I have been Sam Fitzpatrick. Seb Bosher Williams has been alongside me in the commentary box. John Robertson has been bringing you this broadcast, and we will see you back in 1 week's time at Road Atlanta. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.